Okay, these are the 4 antique cabinet doors that I am determined to upcycle today and get these out of my garage. I like that they're a little more lightweight than ones I've worked on in the past, but I've done it a lot where I've used like the wood frame and just left that alone and then painted the inside to either look like a chalkboard, or I might do one of them with a white background and make it into more of a sign. But overall, this should be a fairly simple project, just maybe a little time consuming in the fact that there's 4 of them. But I am ready to get started on these, so let's go. Okay, I'm gonna start off with my most simple cabinet door first. I'm gonna be painting the background this cactus color from Dixie Belle. It's a silk color, so it has the primer and top coat built in. I'm probably gonna end up doing 2 coats, but we'll see if I can get away with just one. I am gonna white wax over it to give it kind of like a antique chalkboard effect. And then I'm gonna paint this wood cutout of the word welcome. I'm gonna paint it white, and so when it's done, I hope it just kind of looks like someone wrote welcome in chalk on this antique chalkboard. It would also be pretty if you painted it, or if you stained it like to match the door color, so stained it like a dark wood, but I think that the white is gonna look a little bit more modern, and I think it's gonna be really pretty and just a really quick transformation, so let's do this one first. Now I'm painting the wood cutout with the sun-kissed color from Dixie Belle. It's just like a couple shades off of white. And I'm watering it down quite a bit because when I'm doing something that has all these intricate little like cutouts and edges, I like it to be a little watery so that some of the paint will just run down into those crevices. These are kind of tedious to paint, and honestly, if I had spray paint outside, I probably would have gone and done that, but I am out of the white color spray paint that I normally use. I like to use the chalk paint that comes in a spray paint can. I think at Target and Home Depot, I'm sure, has it also. But today this is what I'm doing. So I'm using a watered down paint, and I do a couple coats because it is a little bit more transparent, but pretty simple process. I just wanted to add that tip though. If you have something that you would rather the paint drip down into, just water your paint down a little bit. Okay, so I know originally I said I was gonna white wax this, but I'm just actually gonna chalk rub it instead. It's just a little bit quicker. This is actually the color apricot. I'm using sidewalk chalk. I couldn't find the bright white, but I think this is actually going to be okay. It's going to be a little bit more off-white. So basically I'm just going to rub this around the surface, and then I'll kind of wipe some of it back just to give like a chalkboard look that I'm going for. So let's just do this, and then I will attach the welcome word with my brad nailer and maybe a little bit glue. I'm going to see what kind of nails I have. If they're going to be perfect, then I'll just use a brad nailer. And then this one will be all done. So as you can see, I wiped most of the chalk off. That's just enough of the chalk effect though to make it look like a chalkboard, which is perfect. So now it's time to attach the word welcome with my brad nailer. Okay, I'm loving how the green one came out, but I did decide that it needed some greenery on the left-hand side where the frame is a little bit wider than the other side. It was just looking a little cockeyed. I don't know if it was just me being particular or not, but pretty straightforward process. I just trimmed up some garland from Hobby Lobby and stapled it right onto the corner, just kind of wrapped it around a little bit, and pretty easy fix just to make this look a little bit more balanced, and I think it came out really pretty. Now I never want to leave any staples showing, so to finish this up I like to hot glue just some random petals over the top of my staples, and that camouflages them entirely. So I just cut a few of the, I think, boxwood garland petals right over the staples, and then I finished up with a couple of the eucalyptus leaves, and that kind of blended everything together, and now you cannot see a staple at all, and it looks really professional. Next, I'm going to paint two of the doors with the same sun-kissed color from Dixie Belle. One of them I'm going to turn into a gingham sign, and the other one I'm going to leave the white background and do some Iron Orchid design stamps on it, but they're both going to have the same base color. Okay, so the first door that I gave a white background, I'm actually going to do a gingham treatment on. You guys have probably seen me do this on my channel before. Today I'm going to have the white background and then maybe like more of a tan for the light stripe, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use the cactus green again. So it's gonna be fairly neutral, not like the typical black and white gingham, but more of a fall vibe with the tan neutral color and then the green. And then this one I'm just gonna attach a fall wreath onto, probably with maybe a burlap ribbon, I'm thinking, which is a little more farmhouse than I try to go to anymore, but I have so much of it that I need to use it up, and I think it'll look all really good together. So let's just get this done and see how that all looks. Painting gingham can be a little bit tedious and tricky. My biggest tip would be just to make sure you're starting in the center. I used to do my gingham starting from one side and working my way to the other side, and then my whole gingham pattern would be off-centered. So I always start in the center now with my tape. I do use a lot of blue tape when I go through this gingham making process, but I haven't found a way to do it with such clean lines that doesn't use up a lot of tape. So this is just what I do. I try to reuse the tape when I can to make my opposite direction stripes, but overall it's not a very hard process, but it does require a lot of measuring, a lot of taping, straight lines, and then just being really patient with your paint. You can't use too much paint on this because that just gives you a higher chance that the paint's going to leak underneath your tape. So I use a very dry brush when I'm painting over the blue tape, and that helps me get some nice crisp and clean lines in the end. So hopefully with those tips, you guys will be able to replicate this fairly easy. I always have my lightest color as my background color, and then my next darker color as my second stripe, and then wherever the stripes overlap is going to be the darkest colored square. So you're going to have two stripes going opposite directions that are perpendicular to one another, and at every cross point you're going to paint an even darker color. Okay, my first color ended up being a little bit lighter than I hoped for, so I'm actually going to mix a custom color for the next colored stripe, which is going to be this color plus some of the green that's going to go in the final square, and that'll just give it a little bit more of a build-up to that green color. I'm a little worried that the green squares were going to be too dark compared to my other colors if I just stuck with this one. So I'm going to mix a color for the next stripe and then do the overlapping squares in green. Now when you get to this point, it's really tempting to rip the tape off, but don't do it yet. You have to re-tape back over your original lines and then paint your squares that are overlapping, and then you can take all the tape off. So you're almost there, but not quite yet. Now for the second sign with the white background, I'm just going to be using the Iron Orchid design stamps to spell out Home Sweet Home along the bottom. This is going to be another horizontal sign, and then I have to decide which wreath to hang on the top. So this one actually comes together really quickly because it's just a matter of making sure my stamps go on straight. And I'm using the Iron Orchid design ink on this also, which is a permanent ink. So nothing needs top coated at this point. It's all just going to be a matter of just assembling everything, and then this one will be ready to go. And for the final sign, I am using the Caviar chalk paint from Dixie Belle. It's going to have a nice matte finish. It's not going to be actually writable, but it is going to look like a chalkboard and give me a really solid base. I love using this paint because it really only needs one coat, especially when you're using this dark black color. And because it's matte, it looks perfectly like a chalkboard. And when I rub chalk on it at the end, it truly does look like a faux chalkboard finish. So the Caviar I highly recommend as a faux chalkboard color. Okay, I've officially moved to working on the floor because my dining table is completely filled up with all of the things that are needed to craft. If you are a crafter, you know it requires about 10,000 more supplies than you think it will. So normally when I have a craft day like this, I end up taking up just the entire room. So anyway, all that to say, now I'm working on the black door. I just love how painting the background with these old frames just makes it look so neat and new, and just gives these old doors a complete new finish. So if you just wanted to leave this as a chalkboard, I think it would be beautiful just like that. I am going to go ahead and keep working on this as a piece of wall decor though. I have a wreath I'm going to attach with a ribbon, but first up I'm going to use these Iron Orchid Design transfers. I'm going to put it down on the bottom, and then I'm going to chalk rub the whole thing and then attach the wreath. It sounds like a lot of elements. I'm not exactly sure that I'm going to love the transfer on here, but I could always paint over it. It would be a bit of a waste to do that. So I'm hoping that it turns out pretty, but we'll see. It might just be too much, or it might just be odd, or maybe not enough even. So I don't know, we're just gonna wing it. I think that you guys tend to think that I have a plan when I start these videos, and I tend to have like an idea, but definitely nothing for sure. So we're gonna see how this one goes. I'm gonna start with the transfer first, and this transfer is from the booklet called Traditional Pots. So I've used this one a bunch. It comes with transfers that are white, black, and some that are navy. I've never used the navy ones, but I've used most of the black ones already. This transfer sheet though, the pack of it has lasted me for so many projects, and it's one of my favorites because it just adds a little bit of decor to every piece, and the transfers are so easy to use. You just set them down on any item. It doesn't have to be painted. You can do it on raw wood, and then you just kind of rub with like the little transfer stick thing they give you in the package, and then it just peels right off on to your project, and then you can seal it just like you would seal any other piece of painted furniture. So they're really handy. They add a lot of good detail, and I really enjoyed this pack in particular. Okay, here's where I'm at with the black wall hanging. I just feel like the transfers may be all wrong. I can't tell. And actually, now that I have it next to my crock over there, it kind of looks like very similar, in that it's just a very undersized little emblem. I just wish I could magnify it. Like, you know, that's the problem with transfers, is you're kind of stuck to the size they give you, obviously. Whereas when I make things with my Cricut, I can custom size anything. It's just so much more tedious. So I was trying to avoid that this time. I don't know, maybe I'm just too close to it, or maybe I've been looking at it too long. I'm not sure that it's quite right altogether. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble it though, and then sleep on it, and hopefully tomorrow I'll just love it so much. I think it's nice. I just don't know if it's like a home run yet. So as far as the wreath though, I do think I got this at Hobby Lobby last year, so in 2021. It's really beautiful though. The quality is super nice. I probably paid around $20 though for it, because it's kind of a bigger size and has all these pine cones. But this is one of my favorite wreaths. I wish I would have had more, and I'm pretty sure I did have more, and I crafted with them last year. So I actually haven't been to Hobby Lobby this fall, so I don't know if they have these again, but they probably have something similar. So that is where this came from. I think it's beautiful with the old wood and the chalk rubbed black. And then I'm just doing a neutral gingham ribbon on top, and I'll just staple that right onto the back, and this one will be all done. And like I said, I think I like it. If I'm not loving the transfer, I will just paint over it. I'm just not sure yet. Maybe I need to sand it a little bit. I don't know. You tell me down in the comments what you guys think of this one. All right, guys, we are ready for final looks at how everything turned out. I am really loving everything today. I'm really excited because I was a little overwhelmed with all the steps I had to take to make these come to life just in one day. I will say though, it took me about one afternoon, one evening, and then a couple hours on day 2 to actually finish all these. So definitely not as quick of a process as I would have hoped for, but a lot of that was also waiting for paint to dry. So a couple things you didn't see me do on camera. After I painted this gingham, I wasn't loving the colors together. So I once again just chalk rubbed everything. And now I love how it came out. It's nice and rustic. I just added the wreath on here with the burlap. This was a wreath from last year's Target dollar spot, like fall wreaths. So they might have something similar this year. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't looked yet. And then you guys saw me chalk rub this one. I just love how this one came out. I ended up thinning out some of the leaves. I just thought it was a little too much. So I think it turned out nice now. Gave it a little texture over there, a little bit more balance. This one just looks just so cool and vintagey, and I love it. That one's gonna be hard to part with. And then also hard to part with is the Home Sweet Home. So you didn't see me finish stamping this, but it was pretty straightforward. I like to use the like grid paper transfer sheets just to help me line up everything. So that's what I did to make this a pretty easy project. That just helped me with spacing and keeping everything straight. Pretty simple process though with using the Ironwork design stamps. I just love this. I love the black and white. I love kind of the typewriter font. And of course this wreath, which is, like I said earlier, from Hobby Lobby. Haven't seen if they had them this year, but they've had them many years in the past. So I'm assuming it'd still be there. I just think everything looks really pretty all together. And then the last one is the faux chalkboard. Again, this wreath is from Hobby Lobby, and it's beautiful. It's my favorite Hobby Lobby wreath, I do think. And then you guys saw all of the chalk rubbing process, adding the ribbon, and then the little ironwork design transfer on the bottom. I do think I like it. It's definitely growing on me, but I'm interested to hear what you guys say about the transfer, that white transfer piece right there on the bottom. Let me know if you like that or not. And I would love to hear which one is your favorite. I hope this gave you some inspiration for your own sign making or upcycling projects. I know I haven't made one of these in a while, and I'm really sorry about that, but they do take a lot of time, and I just don't get a lot of hours like that anymore, especially during the homeschooling year. But I would love to do some more like this soon for you guys, so make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.